What is a kink you have, you thought is common but isn't? This reminds me of how a lot of people have fantasies that are fun and pleasurable in concept, but they would not want to do in real life. I think the separation of fantasy and reality when it comes to sexuality is a really important concept to understand. I have some things I like to think about but would never want to do, some things I would like to talk about but not do, and some things that I would be very happy to do. Could yours be related to the feeling of safety and control you have over your thoughts versus the potential variables and unpredictability in actual sex, or perhaps the vulnerability and trust that it takes for a lot of people? If any of that is uncomfortable for you, that could well make the physical act of it less pleasurable, because stress gets in the way of arousal for a lot of people. See, like, that might be me, but I think it's coming from the wrong place. I think I'm just a huge people pleaser, and so the idea of someone else wanting to do something like that and be in control so they can have what they want seems like something I should want to in my head. I can't tell if I really enjoy the idea or if I'm so insecure that I want to give over that power to someone if it would make them happy and like me more. I've heard a theory for why that is that I thought was interesting. Most porn is made for the heterosexual male gaze, which I'm not happy about. For the record, from what I have heard, a lot of straight guys like mentally putting themselves in the place of the guy in the video, so it's like they are having sex with the girl, who is the one they find attractive, being heterosexual guys. If the guys are making sound, that can break the immersion of imagining themselves as the man. Since they didn't make that sound but they heard it, obviously there was another guy involved, which they wouldn't necessarily be into, assuming it was someone looking for porn only involving two people. So yeah, the basic idea being that sound breaks the immersion, and some straight guys don't like that. I'm sure that's not the case for even close to all men, but it seemed like a plausible theory to me. Sound turns off some guys, so they won't buy more porn from the company. And if the number of people who would specifically buy more of that company's porn because of the sound, when they wouldn't otherwise, is less than the number who wouldn't buy it, it's not a good marketing practice. Because I'm a weird nerd and I feel like doing it, I'm going to write equations for porn sales now. Let T is equal the total number of people who will buy more similar porn from a company after watching a video with male sound. Let TNS equal the total number of people who will buy more similar porn from a company after watching a video with no male sound. Let A equal the number of people who will buy the porn regardless of sound from the man involved. Let B equal the number of people who would be specifically turned off by the sound and not buy more porn from that company because of it, where they otherwise would have. Let CE equal the number of people who would be specifically turned on by the sound and proceed to buy more porn from the company because of it, where they otherwise would not have. Given the above, T is equals A plus C, B, T and S equals A plus B, C. If B is greater than C, including sound from men in porn is a bad marketing decision for the company, because they will sell less porn. Yay capitalism. If C is greater than B, then including it would be a good marketing decision. In practice, it seems like B is probably greater than C, meaning that it would be a bad marketing decision, and companies are less likely to include it in their videos. Unfortunately for us, sorry for this randomness. It amused me to write. I think what I wrote is correct lol. Someone is welcome to correct my pointless math. I feel like an idiot when dirty talking. First of all, it's hard to think of something clever to say when you are having sex. My mind just can't handle the multitasking. But more importantly, I just feel awkward saying those things, like him not cool and good enough to even be saying them. Basically I feel like him bragging. But there is a third thing that people in English-speaking countries don't have. The vast majority of media as non-English speakers, in the Western world, consume is in English, which includes porn and erotica and whatever. The only real context we have for dirty talk is in English. And oh boy, let me tell you, a bunch of stuff sounds so goddamn stupid when you translate it into your native language, that it's simply funny, not sexy at all. And this is not limited simply to men. Women have this problem as well. So you end up with a no-win situation. Either you try talking dirty in English, and that's just outright weird, or you try it in our native language, but then you have to translate the phrases you know, which can go horribly wrong, or you need to invent new ones, which is super hard to do on the fly. Usually, actively maintaining a boner and performing well, keeping rhythm and locations for the female orgasm, etc. requires a fair bit of concentration. A lot of guys are quiet because we're trying to use our brain versus the other head lol. I know I definitely shut up when she's close, it's learnable, but needs some very clear boundaries set as well. Most decent guys don't want to go too far, like my girlfriend likes it but without the use of derogatory words, because her abusive grandpa slut-shames her for wearing skinny jeans and stuff. I don't know what to say to her. It's hard to explain, but having very animalistic sex. I don't want to fuck, I want to mate, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. And just to clarify, no, I don't want to fuck animals. It's more of the way they do it. I also like big monster men. Sometimes I feel like maybe that's all I'm attracted to in any way. I'm a fucking weirdo, I know. I kind of have a breeding kink. I only recently started thinking about that, though, since I just read a little smut on Tumblr where the two partners had a breeding kink and I was insanely turned on reading it lol. I'm also into degradation, which some people might find too much, though I'm not into pain/BDSM, as long as it's consensual. The thought of having a girl degrade me gets me pretty turned on. BTW. I think guys making noise during sex is hot. I never see enough of that in porn and it makes me sad. Deviance, degeneracy. I'm open to most stuff but not really specifically into any of it. My thing is I like it when my partner is into sick shit, like the worse it is the more I'm into it. I get off on what a sick depraved whore she is. It seems bizarre to me that this would be uncommon but nobody ever understands when I explain this. Man, I'm the opposite. Maybe I'm just a wimp. When she chokes I'm like, oh no, are you okay? For me it's half the look half the feel. I always thought that rough stuff looked uncomfortable, which made me uncomfortable if that makes sense. Don't worry, I'm not kink shaming, I have my own. Just sharing perspective. I've seen that as just another preference, putting no value or right or wrong into it. But I recently told a guy I was talking to online and hadn't met yet that I'm getting the impression that he's the type who prefers that over more passively receiving blowjobs, and that there are many women who like that but I'm not one of them and he can't do that with me. He apparently got really upset and offended that I'd think that of him, and even more that I implied he might want to do such things with me. It took me days to realize what the problem even was. Apparently, to some, there are good preferences and bad preferences, and in his mind, I was pretty much accusing him of being a bad person with bad preferences. Oops. Egg late. Breeding. I'm a guy sadly, so I'm told I shouldn't put silicone sex eggs inside of me, but I'm super into it. I'm obsessed with being a good lil femboy and being bred to carry in family for my owner. I think I'm trans but I'm a cute ass guy, so I'm happy-ish with keep things as they are so I don't lose my everything phobic family. I might as well give it a crack. What's the worst that can happen? If something bad does happen I shall know what to do hopefully. Okay, no more egg yolks. Please don't come for me. But rape kink. But of course consensual. Kinda like role-playing. Anyways, I hate that I'm like this. I grew up on slasher movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Friday the 13th. All those movies I feel like triggered something in my brain. It was something about the attacker chasing after the girl, and being rough with her that always directed my thoughts to something sexual. Like, man, if I was that girl, I don't wanna die but you can take advantage of me. Edit. I hope my comment doesn't trigger anyone. I do not support anything that isn't consensual. These are just my own personal thoughts and feelings. Mask fetish seems to be becoming more common, but I've only met 2 people in person who share it and heard about it a handful of times online. Surgical masks are really attractive on girls and for some reason it's an instant turn on. I really enjoy wearing them myself, but also, When I was in college I met a girl who shared that kink and paired it with other things. She was in love with masks but also liked to gag herself and hide the gag underneath the mask, or she liked to put my gag in and then stick a mask over my face. Then we would go out in public. One of us was usually gagged and I can never really look at masks the same way ever again, even though I had a very strong fetish for them beforehand. Black girls that are into white dudes. It's kind of sad that it's a thing. I don't want to speculate why. I have never known a girl to be so grateful for intimacy. We just did a hookup. I was leaving town and I was upfront that it would just be a hookup. I wanted a blowjob, and while I was flirting with her, she said, "You know what really gets me in the mood for sucking dick is ... kissing." And of course what she really meant was, "I want you to please kiss me." And I did. And she asked me to fuck her. And just like 30 seconds into it, she asked if she could use her vibrator too. I said of course. She came in like 30 seconds. I was like, no way, that was just the vibrator. There was something at work here. And she gave me a very long blowjob, and I came in her mouth, and she sits up before swallowing. I said you don't have to, but she did anyway. So ... if any black girls have a fetish about white guys ... just know that the feeling is mutual. Not really a kink. It didn't even turn me on, but apparently blood and gore for a while. You know how many guys think of their grandparents to get rid of a boner? Yeah, I felt kinda weird doing that, so instead I'd think of brutal or super sad scenes from shows, etc. It worked very well for my years in school. However, no one told young me that a thing called conditioning exists. So eventually whenever a character tragically died or got brutally murdered on TV I got a hard on. I wasn't turned on in that moment. In fact, most of the time I was very turned off. It was merely my body reacting. It was pretty annoying, but luckily I got rid of that. If I have any actual kink, it's probably free use, though I'm not sure if you could call this a kink, but I'm extremely turned off by feet. So technically everything not involving feet is also more appealing to me than normal stuff. I don't want to be reminded of the existence of feet while doing it. I really dig the sound of them stretching and making the little grunt, moan. Don't know why it's so hot. Sounds in general in the bedroom are great. I also really enjoy a long pre-foreplay throughout the day leading up to sex. Think like caresses, sexy flirting, sensual touching, kissing, butt slaps, etc. Another thing is lingerie. I like them to look nice and feel pretty. Boosts their ego and confidence. Exhibitionism. Group sex, swinging. As much as men love to look at naked ladies and bang as many as possible, I'd expect them to be good with looking at naked ladies and banging as many possible, but when it's the girl they're dating, me, they get all possessive and don't want other men looking at her naked or having sex with her. Yet they are plenty happy to hit me, spank me, choke me, abuse me. Just not share time with anyone else. Makes me hate men sometimes, honestly. Dirty talk, degradation, praise kink, slight abuse, choking, suffocating, slapping my face, throat fucking, making me beg to stop, thing X that hurts like a bee, bruises after the fact, being submissive, demands and orders even in non-sexual context from a sexual partner, collars and leashes, feeling like I'm an object owned by someone, threat somehow as well, breeding kink, sex in public, large age gaps. So basically men double my age who are violent and loud in bed that leave me absolutely wrecked and bruised, but also call me a good girl while I choke on their Johnson or beg for air when I'm about to pass out. Anal creepy panties, as in putting them back after you're done fucking. I always try to comment in threads like this one cause I just can't wrap my head around the fact that this isn't more common, porn-wise speaking. There's approximately 10 clips I know by heart and it's always almost perfect but never it. I just can't fathom that this is so unusual. I mean, there are tons of clips of some people ejaculating on one's underwear of chosen material. There is a very thin and very cuckold-oriented audience for a regular creepy in panties, and that's it. Obviously, I had an experience like that and try to recreate that high ever since. Furry hentai. Explanation: I just like hentai way more than regular porn, and I don't like watching, only reading, because it has more variety and creativity in general, making it hotter. Also, it's way more kinky. Besides that, you can have huge tits without fucking up a woman's back. And then the furry part comes in. There's a huge variety of everything. There's many different body types and many different kinds of cocks. On top of it all, there's many amazing artists/writers on this area. Peace. I would never have sex with an actual real animal. I'm not a monster. It would be non-consensual. TLDR, reading furry hentai is good BC variety. Apparently tall women aren't universally seen as being the hottest damn things ever. Like, I've heard women complain about being too tall to attract men, and that just does not compute to me. That, and I also really like short guys. I seem to be attracted to the opposites of what is considered the beauty standards for the genders. Non-standard bondage, so ropes, chains, belts, and the like. Number. Now say they're wearing metal shoes, those are padlocked shut, and the floor has magnetic properties, or say it's a particularly strong adhesive, holding parts of them together. Whenever men put their long hair in ponytails, I've been conditioned to be turned on by this. Is it a fetish? Not really, but it's random and I blame my husband. I love oral sex and my man is so good at it. But every time before he goes down he puts his hair in a ponytail, and now that simple act turns me on whenever I see a man do it. Not me, since A, I'm female, and B, I have a lot of kinks and have never been under the illusion they were common. But gay men telling their partners they're gonna get them pregnant or some variation on the theme while fucking. Pretty split on how many found it hot or not. I've found out it isn't too common for women to like watching the hardcore side of porn. It's not a kink in this context, but I don't think I've ever seen a discussion where a woman has showed interest in rough, violent face fucking, multiple holes penetration, ropes and cuffs for restriction of movement, guys taking their turns or just going all at once. That's the kind of porn I like to watch, and I feel isolated from other women or something. Not me, but my husband likes to bury his face in my butt first thing in the morning so he can get a good sniff. At first I thought he was crazy and told him to let me shower first at least, but he said no, I want it like this. He takes a couple of deep breaths then pulls my panties back on. I thought it was something guys often did, but my friends thought it was weird. Watching someone ejaculate. My boyfriend calls it a cum fetish, so I'd if it's a kink or fetish. I haven't heard of anyone else who likes it as much as I do. I really get off to watching people ejaculate and other things related to people coming. It applies to both sexes but preferably male. I get off to them more. Won't go too much into detail. Before I started talking about it more openly, I thought mostly everyone liked watching someone come, at the very least. As a man, having my nipples played with. When I was in freshman year of college, my then girlfriend made a remark while we were fooling around that a guy's nipples are just as sensitive as a girl's, and I replied, "Oh, I don't think so." So she demonstrated. That felt fucking fantastic. Consent. I fucking love when someone is giving enthusiastic consent. The best porn has the performers talking beforehand, saying what they like and don't like. Sometimes I don't even have to watch the actual sex. I get off to just talking about consent. Not me, since A, I'm female, and B, I have a lot of kinks and have never been under the illusion they were common. But gay men telling their partners they're gonna get them pregnant or some variation on the theme while fucking. Pretty split on how many found it hot or not. Being chased or hunted in the woods or something. I guess the adrenaline of being caught scary, but in a good way, like not knowing when it's coming. I absolutely love hearing men moan during sex. Most are super quiet or try and dirty talk. It's really hot to hear them make noise. That, and I have a blood fetish. I didn't realize it wasn't as common as I thought it was.
Bye.